Welcome in to the latest episode of that SEC podcast. I'm your host, Michael Bratton. I go by SEC Mike on Twitter. And I'm joined, as always, by my cousin Shane, who goes by Big Orange Voss on Twitter. What are you up to, you big Tennessee homer?
Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Oh, man. It's late, but we are so close to football, Shane. We're going to power through here.
Yeah.
Anticipation it doesn't even describe what's going on over here.
No, I mean, it's so much. And you can only, it's so funny. It's in the off season. We're digging, man. It's like we're digging in a cave looking for a diamond somewhere. And now it's just like we're in the bank and it's everywhere. And we're just looking for the best jewels to present. So, yeah, it is night and day. But, man, you're doing a great job ciphering all the BS to get to the meat and potatoes, as I'd like to call it, Mike.
Yeah, and talk about, you actually found this clip, Shane, so I got to give you credit. Mm-hmm. But we're not the only ones fired up for football, because Will Anderson, even though he don't smile for photos, don't let that fool you, Shane. He is fired up to face Utah State.
Well, I think last time we talked to you was right after the picture, when you said you don't like to smile for pictures necessarily, but how much does it actually being a real game week and getting to play real football and sack a quarterback make you smile this week?
I'm so excited. I mean, from the time I woke up this morning, from the time I was in the weight room, everything, like, all I've been doing is envisioning the game on Saturday and, everything that's going to be going on. So, that's all I've been thinking about all day. But I'm very excited. I haven't stopped smiling. Just to, play in Bryant-Denny in the first game this season is going to be something huge and something big, and we're all excited.
Man, what a gem there, Shane. I got to credit you for finding that one. But Will Anderson being fired up, that is just a nightmare for every quarterback out there, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm telling you, man, he's getting I don't know if you're buying into it, but he's getting a lot of Heisman love right here out of the gate.
Yeah.
A lot of people truly believe he was the true MVP last year, and if he repeats it, there's no reason why can't a defensive lineman get the MVP, the Heisman trophy? So I just love it, man. He's locked in. Doesn't care. Utah State, buddy, they better put 3 on that side, because he's going to be eating some lunch, man.
Well, that may not even be the best quote we got of the day, Shane. We got Shane Beamer here talking. It's interesting. He didn't specifically call out Oklahoma, but all the indications there, Oklahoma ain't ready for the SEC, Shane. Let's kick it over to Shane Beamer.
Shane, you mentioned even last week trying to get recruits out here. As you sit here with prospects finally able to come back on Saturday, what goes into making a quality experience and trip for a guy that's maybe coming in for just Friday night and Saturday and dipping after the game?
Yeah, you don't have somebody that would be here for an official visit or really anybody that's here. So many, if they are coming in on Friday, just the opportunity to get around our players and coaches and staff as well as much as possible. It gives them extra time to do that, to feel what Columbia, South Carolina is like on a Friday night or a home football weekend. Certainly with it being a night game, we'll have some people that'll be here Saturday and they get a chance on Saturday during the day. This is a unbelievable college town. And to be able to get out and experience what a college town is like on a Saturday leading into a Saturday night in Columbia is pretty special and a great opportunity. And then, once they get to the game, it's about relationships, but certainly recruits see and watch that Gamecock walk when we arrive. So the bigger and more electric and loud and wild and crazy that is, the more of an impact that makes on these guys. And and I'm serious in saying that. I've coached other schools where we had a walk, and I was in a different conference, and we talked very recently, and we talked about the walk that we had pregame, and did we want recruits to watch it? And I'd been in the SEC, and I remember telling the head coach, I'm like, look, this guy we got coming in on this visit, he was at an SEC school last week. Like, our walk is cool and all, but it ain't that. And it's the same thing here. So it's a different walk pregame environment, and then just the electricity in the stadium, the way all 80,000+ people, feel like they're playing the game for you and truly, truly an asset and a home field advantage.
So how about it? This is supposed to be our SEC brethren here, yet Shane Beamer notes, those fans, they don't do it like we do it here at South Carolina. And I couldn't believe he said this.
the Oklahoma walk. What the hell is that? You know, they're walking into a buzzsaw, Mike. That's what's going on. So I love it, man. Pumping up that game day atmosphere. I think this is important. It's important because there's going to be a lot of recruits at this stadium. So, you know, if you're a true Gamecock fan, you're there. Get there early, man. Make some noise because you're auditioning for your next crop of recruits.
Yeah, and you know, Shane, one other thing, obviously a lot more important with the South Carolina Gamecocks is opener against Georgia State. And, hey, you know, we admit it, we're biased to the SEC. We got no respect for the rest of these teams. But, hey, I've started doing some digging, Shane, on Georgia State. Let me just throw this out there. I don't know if you saw our last episode with Stephen Lassen, but Georgia State won 7 of their last 8 ball games, returned 18 starters, top 3 rushers, 8 starters on defense back, 141 offensive line starts return. They've got their quarterback was MVP of the bowl game last year. They got a defensive back with 9 interceptions, which is the 3rd most in the country. And Shane Beamer, he is talking up some Georgia State. So let's kick it back over to Beamer real quick.
Tape on Georgia State and start doing your initial kind of breakdown of Saturday. What jumps out at you about them? I know you mentioned their experience, but from a football sense, what kind of sticks out on first glance?
They play really, really hard. For one, I mean, you watch them on defense. I mean, golly, I mean, they fly around and play really, really hard. For sure, they're disruptive. They're physical. You know, talking about all those stats, all the tackles for loss, the turnovers forced, the sacks, you don't do that unless you're really active and disruptive. So they're not staying in one place. I mean, it'll be a challenge for our guys because these guys on defense for Georgia State, I mean, they're moving and they play good defense. I mean, Louisiana, I guess, won the Sun Belt last year, and they had them shut out. I was watching it yesterday. I mean, shut out for the first half. Louisiana didn't score against them, and all these guys are back. And then offensively, obviously, the quarterback has got size and can run. And, you know, he can throw the football. And they got receivers with some size that can make some plays. And got a veteran offensive line. The center is a heck of a player. Running backs are really, really good. Obviously, one of them was here previously as a defensive back. And just a veteran group, I mean, that plays really, really hard and plays with confidence. And a group that – start 17 to 22 starters or juniors and seniors, they look like it. You know, they know what they're doing.
All right, Shay, so having all said all that, I know we're not pumping the brakes on South Carolina by any means, but I'm just saying, Shay, this maybe is a little bit more interesting of a game than I thought. The good news is, going back to Beamer's first comments, it's a night game, Williams-Brice Stadium, and South Carolina, they got some things going their way too. So I'm not hitting the panic button, but all of a sudden, Shane, I think this game may be a little bit more interesting than I originally thought.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but you know, because a lot of people think of Georgia State, they think of Tennessee. Yeah, they think of was it Auburn?
Yep.
You know that one. But these are early games. Nobody was thinking anything of it. This isn't, like you said. It's a night game. We got new lights. We got Sandstorm. We got we got a new quarterback. We got so many new toys to play with, and I think that's the thing. It's not like this isn't a random day in November. Yeah. This is the opening kickoff for a very excited South Carolina program that wants to see what this team is all about. No, I don't give a shit who Georgia State's bringing back. This is going to be a bloodbath, brother. And I tell you, that new light show, man, it is going to be awesome. So, no, I'm not worried about this. This is just noise, Mike. That's all it is.
Well, and I'll tell you what, Shane, who's ready to set those lights off? Their new receiver, Antoine Juice Wells. Yeah. Real quick, hey, I may be saying, whoa, we got to watch out for this Georgia State, but Juice Wells, Shane, is saying something completely different.
Juice, I know it's kind of day one of preparations for Georgia State this week, but what have you seen from them in the kind of film study and game prep you guys have been able to do?
Man, I ain't gonna lie, he's just gonna go out there and kill him. You know, it's not too much to it. He's gonna go out there and ball.
So, hey, that's the biggest bulletin board material we're gonna get, but I think that gives you an idea of the confidence in that locker room. And the Gamecocks know if they go out here and execute, they're going to beat the hell out of Georgia State.
This is what you want, man. I mean, that's telling you. That's the pulse of the locker room right now. So if you don't think Georgia State should be, there's no upset alert on this one, man. The only upset thing is a lot of Georgia State fans that made their way up there to Columbia because it's a long way home. So I'm not worried about this one at all, and I just love hearing the players come out and just and speak like it is.
Now, a little bit of bad news, Shane. I do want to mention this just real quick, but Auburn, the guy that was supposed to start at center, Nick Brahms, medically retiring from football. He's been banged up a lot throughout his career. And so obviously a loss for Auburn. They've got a couple cupcakes right out the gate to get that offensive line up to standard before Penn State. But speaking of centers, I just wanted to throw this little nugget. And I probably shouldn't even share this, Shane, because I've not researched it. But I heard it on a Twitter Spaces from this Vegas insider. Apparently, when a team's starting center is out, they fail to cover the spread. It's right around 80% of the time. Now, I'm not saying Auburn's going to fail to cover the spread because they're playing some cupcakes. They knew this was coming. But that's a little gambling nugget for all you out there. Maybe pay attention to see if a starting center's going to be missing. Maybe put you some money on the other team. Wager of the week, I'm just saying.
Hey, man, anything and everything to get a little ahead, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, we're not saying Auburn's going to lose, but maybe they don't win as much because they don't have this. 80%, that's a pretty strong damn number, Mike.
Yeah. Well, speaking of some strong numbers, Shane, I wanted to throw these at you real quick. Again, sponsors of the show for the second season in a row, Prize Picks.
Yes.
Head on over to Prize Picks, put in that promo code SEC. They'll match your initial deposit up to $100. There's also that link in the show notes you can utilize. But they have got at Prize Picks, Shane, it's daily fantasy sports where you can wager on players over, under, and hell, I went 2 for 2 last week, Shane. I may not be able to pick these games, but I can pick you some Prize Picks. But what they've also introduced this year, Shane, is some season over-under totals. And I sent these over to you. I don't know if you had a chance to give them a look, Shane, but I'm going to give you the ones that I think fans should gamble on. How's that sound?
No, it sounds great, Mike. I did get a chance to look these over, and this is, you know, a lot of people forget these season-long bets that you can do until it's too late. So if you're feeling froggy, now's the time to get it in there because they're going to adjust it after week 1, man.
Oh, yeah. So my number one on the board, Shane, I think you're going to love this. Will Rogers, over-under 4,350 passing yards. That's an insane number, but I'm going over for Mississippi State's quarterback, one of the best in the country. He may hit 5,000 this year.
I think so, man. We're going to be breaking records down there in Mississippi State for sure this year, and I think we get the end. Will's a real serious Heisman contender just based on their scheduling and wins and losses. They may have an argument there, but I like the over as well.
Now, one other over that I'm loving, Shane, cannot wait to see this guy in action. Ole Miss running back Zach Evans, over 1,011.5 rushing yards on the season. I think Zach Evans is going to be a machine down there. Ole Miss is very, very underrated when it comes to their ability to run the ball. They're typically under Lane Kiffin. I think they led the SEC his first year. I think they were in the top 4 or 5 last year. So Zach Evans, I think, is going to blow up.
Zach Evans, yeah, I'm with you there. I think he's going to be a focal piece of that offense. I'd like to see – this was just rushing, right?
Yeah, just rushing.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's going to be a 2,000-yard back, I think, collectively with rushing and passing, so heavily involved.
Now, here's one under, though, Shane. I hate to go under on any of these, but I'll give you some reasonings here. Jahmyr Gibbs, Alabama running back, under 951.5 rushing yards. And you may be sitting here saying, what the hell? We've been pumping this.
What the hell, Mike? I've been pumping this guy up all offseason.
We've been pumping him up. But again, this total is just for the regular season. That's critical because I think he'll go over 1,000 when you consider, potentially SEC championship, potentially multiple bowl games.
Yeah.
Gibbs will hit that over in the postseason. But here's why I think he goes under, Shane, because Gibbs is going to be utilized in such a way. He's like a Alvin Kamara to where I think he's going to catch a lot of passes. I think he's going to be one of the Tide's leading pass catchers. I think he's going to.
Yeah.
If this was total yards, way, way, way over. But also Alabama, they're not going to blow out everybody they face, but I think they're going to blow out enough people to where, hey, we're going to spread the wealth and get some of these backups involved. So sneaky. I know Gibbs is getting all this hype, and he deserves it. But I'm going under 951.5 rushing yards just for the regular season.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit this offseason. I mean, I think Gibbs is going to be a big part of that Alabama offense, but he's not the only back there, man.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of hands on that football, and I think there's going to be a lot of games that are getting out of hand, and the first guy pulled is Mr. Gibbs.
Now, how about this one? Last one for me, Shane. Kayshon Boutte, we recognize one of the best players in the country, but I'm actually going to go under, Shane. 978.5 receiving yards.
Mm-hmm.
And here's why, Shane. Little nugget. We're still, we've not watched a ton of Brian Kelly. He's new to the SEC. He's only had one 1,000-yard receiver, Shane, since 2016.
Yeah.
So they spread the ball around. Unfortunately, Kayshon Boutte, he suffered injuries. We don't know about the quarterback situation. I just think you factor in all those things. Malik Neighbors, who's the number 2 receiver, is getting billed as maybe the breakout player on that entire roster. I think they're going to spread the wealth. I think that's what Brian Kelly wants to do. So Kayshon Boutte will probably get around 950 receiving yards this year, but I don't think he breaks at 978.5.
Yeah, that's a tough one, but again, this is why it's further down your list, Mike, because I think that was a little risky because we've seen there's been plenty of times he is the only piece of offense on that offense. So I don't think that's going to be the case this year, but I still think Brian Kelly, when he walked into that room, the first thing he sized up was his best receiver or best asset on the program. So he's going to be involved, but I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, if he's fully healthy, Shane, and they force him the ball, he may break us by half season. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right.
Speaking of Brian Kelly, how about this stat, Shane? I got to credit Chris Felica, the Bear, on College Game Day. Brian Kelly has won 40 straight games when he's favored. He hasn't lost a game as a favorite since 2017 against Stanford. So LSU favored against Florida State. That's a good omen right there.
Yeah, I like that stat, Mike, for sure.
Now, I know another thing you're going to love, Shane. We played this on the last...
Stats are so funny, though. It's like, they come out with some random stat all the time, like, well, you did the center. Now we got Brian Kelly. It's like, well, who we got down there, Napier, he hasn't lost when the temperature was over 72 degrees. Not once. He's undefeated, and he's now in the swamp, So, I don't know. I just think it's funny.
Well, speaking of funny, Shane, I'm sure you've seen it, but I want to play it just for you. Sam Pittman doesn't know what to expect from Cincinnati. Is it going to be iced tea? Is it going to be liquor? we got to play this clip one more time.
Cold beer, diet soda, who knows?
You don't know exactly what they're going to do, but I think we've got enough defense in that we can attack whatever we see. I think the first couple series are going to be really important to figure out kind of, what they're bringing to the party. Some guys bring iced tea and some guys bring liquor, and you just got to figure out what they're bringing. I mean, go into 2-minute offense. You'll figure out what kind of party you're going to on the first play.
And speaking of that, Shane, Luke Fickell backed it up here. Cincinnati head coach. They're coming down to Arkansas, which should be one of the best games of the week. He was asked about not naming us a quarterback. And I really interesting. I thought he basically admitted, last season maybe he didn't get his team fully prepared for these playoff games and how that could be a factor against the Razorbacks Week 1 in Razorback Stadium.
What's that? Yeah. But I don't think there's any reason to, talk about it. I don't know that it does anything good for our team. It doesn't do anything good in the opponents in the preparations of things. So I've always kind of said that from the get-go. I don't know that last year we announced a starter. I don't know that it was much of a question. I don't think the year before we announced a starter. Again, I don't know if it was much of a question. So for us, obviously you got to have a plan and you got to move forward with it. But there's no reason for us really to kind of announce things. Well, it's not easy. You could say, well, we pump music in and we want it to be loud, but the reality is you want to have good practices. So I think there's a balance there. We started probably last week at really kind of talking about the environment, talking about the atmosphere, making sure we're aware of what it's going to be like. I can't exactly tell them because I've never been there. Obviously, I've heard and talked to a lot of other people. But it's one of those things that's hard to prepare for, because it's kind of twofold. Like I said, there's a lot of other things that you got to prepare for as well, and sometimes the atmosphere is one of those things that that sometimes gets in the secondary, just because with the younger team you got to have some really good practices. But I know that after the playoff game last year, I think I didn't do a good enough job at preparing our guys for the environment and the atmosphere. So I think that we've used that and how we kind of started that game as something that we know we got to get better at. So it's been since January, whatever that was, second, third, fourth, coming back, talking about how do we get better. It had been about handling the atmosphere and the environments that we're going to play in, thinking about it being week one. I didn't tell them it was about week one, but it was really about, hey, let's make sure we understand this. Even all the way back from January 2nd, we're talking about how we prepare for September 3rd.
All right, Shane. So, hey, it sounds to me, I mean, maybe it's just coach speak, but maybe them Arkansas fans who, they wrecked Texas game plan, you come liquored up like Sam Pittman says, I think you got a good chance of wrecking the Cincinnati game plan too.
Absolutely. I think that's the beautiful thing. And Sam's kind of hit on this a few times now. If we come out aggressive, we're going to figure out exactly what kind of defense or what kind of scheme Cincinnati's going to be playing. So
yeah.
I expect some damn aggressive offense and defense. Pin their ears back and let's get this game rolling, man.
All right, Shane. Next, let's kick it on down to Lexington, where pretty interesting. Mark Stoops still keeping things very close to the chest, not wanting to talk about Chris Rodriguez, and then their linebacker Jordan Wright is apparently also mixed up into this, and he's also this may be a great candidate for Tell the Truth, Shane, because he's hyping up the quality of the MAC here.
Yeah, them MAC teams. Hey, but I'll tell you, brother, every now and then one sneaks up and bites you. So
Mark, obviously, Chris isn't on the depth chart. Can you announce how long that suspension is?
Yeah, we're discussing that because I knew that would be the first follow-up. And I want to say I appreciate the respect that you all have had through this process, really. When I think you guys know a lot of times because I'm very open and honest with you, you guys are very respectful in return. When I have something to say, we'll say it. I just have to say that these players have some rights as well, and I have to be very conscientious of that. I expect a few of them to have multiple game suspensions, but I don't know. I really, I'll address it next week. I expect maybe one of them to be back next week, but we'll see how that goes.
Did you clarify which players are suspended and which ones aren't on there because of the injury?
I didn't say suspended. You did. They're unavailable to play.
And obviously there was a lot of focus on Chris, the DUI plea. Can you at least confirm that there is a second issue that's been talked a lot about, speculated about?
No, I cannot.
Mark, MAC teams have come in here and given Kentucky some trouble for these, and even won here. What can you tell people? What do people need to know about the level of athlete that plays on these teams and maybe been overlooked by Power Fives or whatever?
Well,
a lot of them are athletes.
Well, there's, without a doubt, I mean, I think, I believe everybody in this room, knows that because you cover the sport and realize how good a football is played in the MAC. And we have the luxury of playing this team who's picked to win their division, playing the championship game, and they have a really good quarterback. So anytime you have you're really well coached and you have a good quarterback, I can promise you this: they're not they're ready to come in here and play. I think it was game 2 last year. They went out and played into a 1-score game at Minnesota, and had an opportunities to win. And they're a very good football team. And Coach Martin, he's been around. He was coach of the year at a lower level where they won at a high level. And then he's been at Notre Dame and had great success there as a play caller and offensive coordinator, and has been here for 9 years building this program. And they're extremely well coached on both sides of the ball and on special teams, and they're going to play very good, sound football. You've heard me say this before. You like it that way because you have to go beat these guys. They're not going to give it to you. You have to go earn it. You have to go beat them. You have to go play well. They're going to be very good. There's some very talented players. You look at their defense. You look at their inside linebackers, one of which was injured a year ago, but he's a 6th-year player and is one heck of a ball player. A lot of experience inside on their defense. They have a disruptive player in their nose guard. They have a corner that really stands out, and offensively, a stable running backs, a quarterback that can play at a high level, and and they want to take their shots. They're going to get the ball down the field. They're very efficient in their run game, not overly complex. They dress it up with what a lot of people do on the perimeter to set up shots, to set up plays down the field in a creative way, which will make us really be prepared.
Yeah, and apparently, Shane, the quarterback for Miami of Ohio, I had no idea. Again, this is, if you missed it, go back and check Stephen Lassen episode. That guy's just a damn encyclopedia of college football. But the quarterback there is the younger brother of Blaine Gabbert, who was at Missouri, first-round pick. I think the 49ers or the Jaguars. A bust in the NFL, but a hell of a college quarterback. And now his brother is kind of tearing it up for Miami of Ohio. So, hey, all of a sudden, that's something to watch here for Kentucky in the opener.
Who is it again?
His name is Gabbert. I've already forgot his first.
Blaine Gabbert?
It's his younger brother.
Oh, okay. All right. No, I did not know that. I love this family thing. It's funny. Now it's like all the guys you watched in college, they're now like got kids. You're like, oh, shit, I am old. What did I turn to Papaw,
All right, Shay, moving on next. Let's kick it on down to Athens, where I just thought this was funny as hell. Because Kirby and Dan Lanning, they're not in communication. That they used to work together, obviously, but now they're facing off. Oregon hadn't named a quarterback. What do you think about that, Kirby? He puts him right in his place here. I thought it was fantastic.
Kirby, you mentioned some unknowns, trying to find information that Dan's not announcing his starting quarterback. Obviously, you're familiar with the guy that's the favorite. I mean, how does that impact them not saying this is our guy?
That really doesn't impact anything for us. I mean, I know who the quarterback's going to be, so I'm not worried about that. I'm worried a lot more about how our guys play and what our guys do and how our guys execute. You guys use that to write about and talk about, but I mean, let's be honest. Regardless of which quarterback's in there, they're going to do what they do, and maybe he does one thing better than the other guy does, and at the end of the day, they may play both of them, but it's never about the preparation for one specific quarterback as much as it is the preparation of your team to go play well.
Kirby, considering all the different moving parts on the defensive line, I mean, you're going to be facing the team that may have the most experienced offensive line you guys will face this year. What about that challenge come Saturday?
Yeah, I think that we face a really good offensive line day in and day out, and a very experienced one in our own, and that provides a lot of good competition. I think they've got more returning starters, returning snaps than almost anybody in the country on their offensive line. So it certainly is a strength in terms of even what Mario's history is of recruiting offensive linemen. Did a tremendous job putting together depth at that position. So it'll be key that we play well, we play physical. You have to control the line of scrimmage and strike people to be a good football team. They know that. Dan knows that. There's nothing hidden about that. So our defensive line's got to stop the run and be able to control the quarterback, which, depending on which quarterback it is, you got some really good athletes back there.
Come on, man. So Kirby knows it's going to be Bo Nix. Quit bullshitting down there at Oregon, Dan Lanning. Kirby knows what's up, doesn't he?
Exactly. I bet they still got a couple of group text active, sending each other memes like, come on, man, come on.
But that other thing he hit on, Shane, Oregon, Mario Cristobal, that's what he does, offensive line development. Georgia's they still got some beasts in that front seven, but it's a retooled front seven. I think this is legitimately going to be a battle here between, in the trenches. It may be the only one where Oregon matches up well with Georgia, but that's going to be something to see.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good game, Mike. I really do. But it's like a poor man. No, I would say the opposite. Hawaii was a poor man. But I'm saying I think it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be competitive at the beginning. But the problem is Georgia is just so deep. So, I mean, there's just so much talent just sitting on the sidelines ready to get in. I think that really starts to show in the second half. Dan's just not had an opportunity to restock his shelves up there yet.
Yeah. All right, last thing real quick, Shane, jumping on down to Mississippi State, where Mike Leach was asked about last season's blown call there. He still ain't over it. I thought you were the biggest guy not over it, but apparently it's Mike Leach. I just thought this was hilarious. I'm playing this just for you.
Mike, last year I think you believed after the game that punt return was officiated correctly. Have you looked at that play? Have you changed any opinions on that?
I think you could categorically without getting in trouble, without any of that stuff, I think you could categorically assume nearly entirely the opposite. And I never said that.
Coach, kind of getting back to the Memphis thing, you always want to be excited to play that first game. Does it help to have an opponent that you're familiar with, or maybe a team that left a bitter taste in your mouth to kind of get the guys to lock in, or do you just expect them to lock in for anybody?
Well, if they don't lock in, you got the wrong guys. If they don't have the lock in, you got to kind of adjust the depth chart or find other guys, and then and so those that aren't locked in, we'll try to replace them if that's the case. But I'd like to think that's not the case.
Defense or offensive coaches, and it seems like from our point of view that this may be the most talented defense you've had since you've been at Mississippi State. What are your thoughts about your defense? Maybe how have you seen them improve this year?
I think they play together better. They've logged some snaps with one another. I think they play together better. I think they play with more precision. Some have gotten bigger and stronger, which I think is good. And, I agree with you. I think they're better than they were last year, but now they got to prove it. They got to go out and play that way.
Team.
But hey, it's going to take a hell of a lot more than a blown call to beat Mississippi State in this one.
Yeah.
I mean, Mike Leach and company, they seem locked in on this one.
Yeah, I do. I'm hearing it from the fans. You hear it from some of the players.
Yeah.
This isn't like last year. This isn't a Memphis team that they're overlooking at all.
Mm-hmm.
This is a team that they want to come out and just destroy them and not be put in a predicament to come down to one bad call or one bad special teams. It's not going to happen.
All right, brother. Hey, I hate to cut it short, but I literally have to jump off here for another call. So I appreciate you, as always, joining the show. I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.
All right. See you guys. Go Vols.